Well, hello, Dries. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Good to see you again. Been a
Good to
while.
see you. It has, yes. It's actually been a while since we've done one of these Dries Q&As. I think we must have done quite a few now. I think we started. Was it Vienna on stage in Vienna? I can't
Possibly
remember.
Vienna, yeah. I feel like we've done at
Yeah.
least four or five, maybe
Oh, at
more.
least. Yeah,
Yeah,
more. I think. Yeah.
yeah,
I enjoy it. I really enjoy it, and it's good to chat. It's always
yeah.
good to
Same
chat.
here.
But as I just said, we're recording this, and we're recording this on Friday evening. So I'm sat outside, and it's sunnier than I expected. And I'm sat by the river, and in fact, there's a water ski racing competition here
Oh wow.
tomorrow. So I'm kind of hoping they don't start practicing halfway through this. I apologize if they do. And where are you at the moment?
I'm sitting inside in my office at home in Boston. So not as exciting as your setup there, but I'm in the comfort of my house.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay. So we should explain to people why we're doing this on a Friday night rather than the day. And it actually comes down to our first question, I think. And somebody was asking, and I didn't get the names of any of the people who posted the questions, I'm afraid.
Okay.
But they were asking, what do you like to do in your free time? We heard that you're pretty sporty, skiing and such. What do you actually enjoy doing?
Oof, great question. I like a lot of different things, to be honest. I have a lot of hobbies or passion. Like I love photography. I like hiking. I like camping. I like skiing. I like playing games like chess. I like chess. I like reading.
Ah,
I'll watch some TV. I mean, all normal things, I think, for the most part.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
tomorrow we actually go sailing for a day, and we booked that a long
Ah,
time ago, and so I wasn't able to move that around. Unfortunately, it's kind of one of those day trips.
yeah.
And so I'm out sailing, and I didn't want to risk. I didn't want to try and do a Q&A session from a sailboat. I don't know if that was going to work.
It would be a challenge. I think that would be fairly high risk for whether it would work. Yeah.
I'm sure somebody did
Maybe
it.
one day. Yeah. Maybe one day. I think
Yes,
it'd be kind of fun.
but we're
Yeah.
almost
Maybe if
live.
we,
We're literally the day before.
yeah,
So
absolutely. It's only just out of time. It's true.
that's right.
And in fact, there is going to be quite a rush for us to get the video ready to show tomorrow. So this will be interesting.
Right.
Okay. So we're here at Drupal Camp, Colorado,
Hmm.
which has always been a really great event that I've really enjoyed attending, speaking at over the years. But one of the questions that we got was, what is your number one favorite Drupal event of all time?
Mm.
And why would that be?
Oh, that's a hard question. That's
Yeah,
very hard. I
it
mean,
is.
so many of special place in my heart. I mean, obviously, there's Drupal Camp Antwerp. That was the first one ever. I mean, that was very
Yes.
special because obviously that's where all of the other Drupal events came out of. It's like it was
Yeah.
so fun. We said we should keep doing this, and so Antwerp always was special for me, also because it was sort of a home game, if you want to call it that. It was, where I was living at the time. I have fond memories of Szeged in Hungary.
Uh,
I
yeah.
forgot when that was, actually, maybe 2007-ish. I
Could be.
forgot. But it was very intimate, very small. We had a lot of fun. It's also when I announced Webchick to become a core committer. I remember that. That was
Ah,
special. Sort of on the opposite side of that, Rachel, like San Francisco was so large, the opposite of sort of small and intimate like Szeged. But that was like just a shock how many people showed up in San Francisco. I think it was like 3,000 people or even slightly more. And it was like in the it's like, what's that venue called again? It's where to do the Apple events. I mean, it's like humongous
oh,
venue.
Moscow Center.
Yes, exactly. And it was just crazy. And it was like a stark difference between every other Drupal event
Oh,
because,
wow.
I mean, first of all, it was so big. And even at 3,000 people in that venue, it felt like there's like 20 people. The venue was way too big even for 3,000 people. And the backstage was like a real backstage. I don't know if I've ever experienced them. It's the same crew that would do Steve Jobs events. Anyway, it was just kind of wild in that way. Chicago was special for me. Like, it was remarkable. Like, we kind of took out this whole building in Chicago, the Sheraton Hotel, I think, and it was filled with Drupal people. And was a lot of creativity that I loved, like in the in the registration bags. I don't know what that's called as a name, but when you check in, you get like a bag with goodies. And we had Drupal pajamas, and it was just kind of cool. Like, people would walk around in their pajamas. You could walk into the lobby like after midnight, and people would be sitting there in their pajamas coding. So
I love it.
that was special. So, I don't know. I'm kind of dodging your question a little bit, I think, but
I think that's perfectly fair.
Yeah.
It's almost a cruel question.
I honestly don't think I have a favorite one. I just have many special memories about many of them. So
yeah, well, maybe we need to think about the future. And the next question is all about DrupalCon Europe, which is coming up in Prague in September. Still tickets available. So DrupalCon Europe will be holding the first Women in Drupal Awards this year, which is really exciting.
I actually just read about that the other week.
Yeah, I'm really pleased. And it was FFW actually kind of suggested it. It was a really cool idea. So got to give them kudos for that one. And the nomination form is actually up on the website now, because we are actually looking for nominations. And I'm really honored to be part of the committee trying to pick names. So whilst it would be totally unfair of me to ask you who you think should win, what qualities do you think the judges should be considering when deciding on recipients of the award?
That's a great question. First of all, I think it's a great initiative. I think my answer would be to look at Drupal's values and principles, and I would expect women or male, leaders, it doesn't matter really, to live our values and principles. And so that comes back to things like fostering a learning environment, I think, is one of our values, or promoting collaboration, embracing change, treating others with dignity and respect. I mean, these are kind of our principles and values in the Drupal project that we documented. And so for me, I would love to see the winner, or maybe there's multiple winners, I don't know, sort of embrace those values.
There are three categories. Yeah, there's scaling, building, and learning, I think. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So I think we've got 3 awards on the way.
Yeah. So I think it's a great opportunity to promote principles and values in the project. So I would love to shine a spotlight on those people that, bring them to life, every day as they collaborate in the project.
I like it. So those values and principles that you talked about came from a long history of Drupal, and you thinking when you were doing a lot of work on that and working with people, and you spent a lot of time thinking about way back into the past of Drupal and things you've learned along the way. Drupal's been around for 21 years.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of questions, but one that struck me that was amusing, first of all, was what's with the big sombrero? And I probably should explain that by sharing my screen.
A photo,
If I share the photo so that people can understand what you mean. So hopefully this is coming through for everyone.
This is young Dries.
Very young Dries.
I mean, I don't see a difference actually.
I know that feeling.
No, this is me. It must have been 20 or something. I'm 43 now, by the way, or 21 or something. And it's me sitting in my dorm room in Antwerp, Belgium. And it's in that chair that I started working on Drupal. And so,
no way.
And the photo, I think it was actually my friend's sombrero. I lived in his house with some other students and friends. and I think I borrowed it from her, and I just put it up, and that ended up being a photo. So and so it's just one of these things that never dies, Rachel. I think I
So
used
this,
it in a presentation once, kind of a presentation where I was presenting the Drupal history, and I think people liked it. I've used it in other presentations since, and I think yeah, it just became one of those photos. But yeah, you can see my chessboard in the background there. You see it?
oh
So
yeah,
I've been
of
playing
course.
chess
You can on the
ever
right,
since.
yeah.
Yeah, I have some compiler
Wow.
books, and I have a collection of stamps on that shelf. So
So presumably
proper
this is
geek,
actually a
I'm a
this
proper
is a real
geek.
photo, isn't it? This is
It's a
actually
real photo.
a
Yeah,
photo onto paper.
yeah. It's a scan
Wow.
of a physical or analog photo. Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Ah,
My
well,
dorm
there
was
you
very
go.
small. I'm gonna say 10 by 10 feet or something, or 4 meters
Yeah.
by 3 meters. And I had everything: my bed, which was on the left, closet, I had a sink, a microwave,
Yeah.
and my desk, which was on the other side of the room, and that was it. And we shared a shower and a toilet
Yep.
with the other
Absolutely.
students. It was
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
good memories of that. But yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. So that's really cool,
Well,
actually.
yeah.
So we should look to the future as well.
Mhm.
So somebody did ask, where do you see Drupal in the overall tech landscape
Mhm.
in 5 years?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good question.
Is it still a web thing? Is it something else? What do
Sorry,
you
is it
think?
still a web thing?
Is it
I
still
think it will be a web
primarily
thing.
web? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, the way I think about it is that I ask myself, what are the things that aren't going to change? And if you look at, um, if you think about what doesn't change, it helps to kind of understand where Drupal could be in 5, 10, or even 20
Yeah.
years, right? And I think one of the biggest things is people and organizations, they'll be managing content. People were managing
Mm,
content 20 years ago. When I started Drupal, they were managing content 10 years ago. They're managing content today, and they've actually managed more and more and more content throughout all of
yes.
these years. I can almost guarantee you, I think I can actually guarantee you that people and organizations will still be managing content in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and probably in 100 years too. I can also tell you there will be more content. I think that's kind of probably factual. And the same
Yeah.
thing with data. Data will be growing, and we'll have to manage more and more data. And Drupal can also manage data to some extent. It's not just content.
Maybe does this apply also to content types as well? I mean,
More content types,
yeah.
more
Do you think there's
more
anything we're
channels.
missing right now?
Content will be distributed and delivered to more and more endpoints or channels, as we say, right? So obviously
Oh,
there's
okay.
the web, but there is mobile devices, obviously. But there's also, the JavaScript frameworks. You can think of them as a different web channel if you want to think
Yeah.
about it that
Yeah.
way. Voice assistants. They're a thing too.
Yeah.
Chatbots, these are
Yeah.
all channels, and we need content to be managed and then delivered to all of these different channels. So I see Drupal being very strong at that in 5 years. It is strong at it today, and I expect it will continue to get better and stronger at it. And so I think Drupal could be a little bit less webby, in the sense like web only-ish. Like our
Ah,
roots are web
okay.
only, right? Like Drupal was only for websites at some point, and today, so a lot of people, actually increasingly more people, using it for different kinds of applications. I believe like Lufthansa, which is an airline, they actually drive some of the in-flight entertainment system, the screen in the back of the seat, or seats. Some of that content is powered by Drupal. In the US, you have TV channels that power their content with Drupal, like the I also don't know the right word, but like sort of the banner at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's called 2/3 or something.
I
All
yeah, a
driven by
ticker
Drupal.
sometimes.
The
Yeah.
ticker,
Yeah.
yes, the tickers that go like along And that's powered by Drupal. Sometimes they manage their program schedules with Drupal. So if you go to your TV and you look up the guide, if you will, that guide in some cases is generated by Drupal, and Drupal kind of keeps it up to date because sometimes it, kind of dynamically changes the guide to depending on maybe sport games running late or short, that kind of stuff. So anyway, Drupal is already there, doing these kinds of things, and I would expect that to happen more and more.
Yeah, that's really great. In fact, I think actually another example, I think the TV channels in Iceland, a couple of those use Drupal extensively.
Well,
yeah,
pretty cool stuff.
yeah. So thinking about the present and people using Drupal, when we're talking about things like TV guides and tickers, you're having to present that information. You're having to put the content in, and then you're having to organize it and present it essentially. And we were asked a question, which I think is relevant here. I'm not sure exactly in what way they meant this, but the question was, why is the concept of views so hard to wrap our heads around?
Maybe because it's so powerful.
Yes.
So there's that. It is very powerful, right? I think also because one, it's powerful, and two, I would probably say we can probably improve the user experience of views as well. It's in essence, it's a kind of a query builder that allows you to query content from that's in your Drupal site and then present it in different ways. And it's very powerful, but it can be a little hard to use. And if you think about it, it's probably been since 2008 or something, or maybe 2010, might be wrong here, that we've made material updates to the Views UI. So there's probably a better way now, and actually I'd love to see people work on that to make it a little bit more modern in a way where maybe, I think in today's world, there's new design patterns and UX patterns that could probably make it easier to learn and understand for people. Make it a little bit more interactive, use more progressive disclosure so you don't have to see all the buttons at once, which it actually does. Yeah. It doesn't actually do it all at once. But my point is, I think there is a set of UX improvements that could be made to it that would really help. And that would be fantastic, because I think the strength of Drupal is that it empowers people with powerful tools. In a way that they don't have to be like a super technical expert to use Drupal. So I think if we can make powerful features like views easier to use, that would be an amazing contribution.
Yeah, maybe there's something around, as things get more intelligent and able to make decisions by themselves, maybe I would never want to get into a clippy for Views UI, don't get me wrong, but something along the lines of being able to generally describe the problem you're trying to solve and having much of the work done for you would be quite useful to certain demographics of builders within Drupal builders, sort of people who probably don't know the whole system yet, but want to kind of be productive but not necessarily know the whole system. That could be interesting.
Yeah, there's probably other ideas. Like I could think of, is there an 80-20 rule here where maybe if some templates, views templates or something, and you can select from higher level templates that then make all of the underlying tweaks for you, as starting points. Yeah, often people want to show content in reverse chronological order with a title and a snippet or something, and that could be an out of the box template. That's maybe a little bit easier to discover and adopt, and then maybe tweak it from there, versus I feel like views right now, you have to go through all the steps.
I think you're describing a really interesting contrib module that would be, I'd love to see.
Yeah,
I think it
me
would
too.
be kind of a cool thing to get stuck into.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about there about things that sort of how we're looking to bring in modern things into Drupal.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, modernizing Drupal in itself is, for a lot of people, hugely important. And it's bringing us so many more opportunities with the product that we wouldn't have if we stayed still.
Mm-hmm.
However, we do have a question around the fact that that's not for everyone, because not everyone needs new stuff, which is kind of understandable. So we had the question. We know that many Drupal 7 sites are not interested or able to upgrade to Drupal 9, and presumably after that 10. Large numbers of them are moving to other platforms or services. It might be that they're more appropriate, and that's kind of cool. I don't see a problem with that. Is there a chance the Drupal community might officially recognize something like Backdrop CMS as one possible option for where those people can work, with the hope of keeping more people in a wider Drupal family? Does that kind of make sense? And that would be something that you'd be comfortable
I
as
got
an
the
idea?
question. Sort of about recognizing Backdrop CMS more, I think, right? So trying to think through the answer, but first of all, Backdrop is a fork of Drupal, right?
Yep.
And you have healthy forks and unhealthy forks. So I'm not saying it's a bad fork, just to be clear, but it's a fork of Drupal. And I mean, it's been around for a long time now. But the main reason, as I understand it right now, is it was created because out of a frustration with backwards compatibility. And also this idea that Drupal should be easier to use. And I think we started adding a lot of developer features to Drupal 8. And so I think maybe a second principle for the fork, if you will, is that Drupal shouldn't be just for developers. I mean, that's my recollection of it. Maybe it's incomplete, maybe it's wrong, but that's what I remember. And I think it's true, right? At the time, we didn't care about backwards compatibility. We cared about breaking APIs so we can move forward and innovate. And it's also true that Drupal 8 was very heavy on developer improvements. We introduced Symfony, for example, and other things. Composer, I think, was also in Drupal 8. So definitely made it harder, for people to use and adopt Drupal, and also easier for developers in other ways. But anyhow, I just wanted to maybe kind of think out loud about it, like for myself, maybe like why Backdrop was created. I mean, first of all, I would say I'm very comfortable with them being around. They attend often DrupalCon. There's often sessions at DrupalCon. So I do feel like we embrace them, if you want to use that word. We're not like trying to block them out or anything. And I think they provide a very valuable service. I mean, I like what they do, right? Like a lot of people have got value from it, like, because they made it easier to stay on Drupal 7, and there's maybe less disruptive changes, so the upgrades are easier. So all good stuff as far as I'm concerned. So in a way, I would say they are part of the family. I think of it that way. I mean, I will say though that some of these reasons we've started to address, right? Like we have changed our policies around backwards compatibility.
As we've gone 8, 9, 10,
that's right. And so now Drupal is also easy to upgrade, and we continue to make it easier to upgrade too. Like we're working on automated updates, for example. We're working on things like Project Browser too, which will help make it easy to find and discover modules, and it will tie into the automated updates. We're working on site recipes. In my keynote, I still called it starter templates, but we've since kind of evolved the name to recipes, which also makes it easier. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
See, I didn't know that because I've not been as attached recently.
Yeah. But I mean, long story short, we've been focused on making it easier to learn Drupal and use Drupal and maintain and upgrade Drupal. So in a way, these original reasons why Backdrop was created, I would say we've also come around and kind of recognized the importance of backwards compatibility and focusing on the non-developer experience as well. So, which is good. I think. I don't know if that answers your question. Was there another question or?
I think that there was something along the lines of seeing how Backdrop fits within the whole kind of ecosystem, and I think you've got bits and pieces in there. But also, I think it is interesting how you then also discussed how some of the reasons for Backdrop probably are relevant now, but maybe as Drupal continues to go 9, 10, 11, whatever number scheme we use in the future, it's something that we're always thinking about is, well, why did that happen? How do we avoid that being painful for people? So that's great. Yeah.
I mean, I think it happened. It happened at a time where we didn't, it was hard to find a balance between these different things. And I'm actually glad that we, introduced Symfony and Composer and all of these things. I think it has paid dividends. It has really been beneficial in many ways. And I would say like Drupal probably has more momentum than, Blackdrop, right? And, we see I don't know, I haven't really paid attention, to be honest, to all of the innovations going into Blackdrop. And again, I don't mean that in a bad way, but like, I'm happy where Drupal is and I'm happy where Drupal is going. And I'm also fine if people want to stay on Drupal 7 and go with Blackdrop, that's fine too. Like, I'm all for keeping people in the family, Yeah,
completely. I get it. I still want to see people at DrupalCon. It's that kind of thing. So, and here at Drupal Camp Colorado as well. Jen's here too, so we're going to be chatting later. So absolutely. But that's interesting. But we mentioned Drupal 9, 10, 11, etc.
We haven't talked about 11.
Well, no, it was
maybe we did in the 5-year question.
It's just the next number. But it does bring the next question, which is, but are your websites on Drupal 10 yet?
No, I'm actually on the latest version of 9. I think I just upgraded, to 9.4.5, I think. I forgot. Just a week ago or so, So I'm on that version, which is almost the same as 10, Rachel, as you know.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
I have checked my site. I do use Rector to check that I have no deprecated code.
You recently published your development process,
my deployment and development workflow. I showed all the tools that I use, but one of them is Rector, and I use Rector to make sure I have no deprecated code and PHP stat, and I don't. So I guess technically my website could easily be a Drupal 10 website. I could probably just upgrade to the beta 7 that we released this week.
I might end up having to play with that this weekend at some point.
It should be very easy upgrades, quite honestly. But maybe I should be running that latest version. Could be fun.
You've got other work to do as well, and sailing to do, of course. So we talked about how busy you are there. So thinking about you as Drupal project lead, what does your daily involvement in Drupal look like?
Good question. Kind of ebbs and flows and changes a lot, honestly. Like the philosophy that I try to use is I try to help where I can be most impactful. And so that kind of changes over time. But like, let's see, thinking about sort of the things I've done recently, maybe that's helpful. So I've been quite involved with the Drupal Association. We're going through some leadership changes at the Drupal Association, where we've had a few people leave, and we're actively interviewing candidates for the executive director role. And so I've been involved with that, interviewing people, usually a few a week, kind of, and then we talk about it. We have executive committee meetings, it's called. It's kind of a subset of the board with Angie as well, often, but not always. She's our interim ED. And so we talk about all things Drupal Association, including the recruiting that we're doing. And we're also like hiring a new head of revenue, a CRO, and other things. So I check in with the core committers as well. I had a call with them, not all of them, but some of them actually earlier today, where we go over some of the core initiatives, and we kind of talk about the latest and the greatest, like what's happening with Project Browser, what's happening with automatic updates. So check in with them. I've started working on my DrupalCon keynotes, which is so that's always a lot of work for me. I literally spend days, on working on the keynote. I mean, not like back to back, but over the next couple of months, it's going to be a lot of my time. I just got the data that I need to write my Woo Sponsors Drupal blog post, which has become kind of an annual tradition. I usually post that around early September, so in about a month, I guess. And Jim Lennon from the DA will send me like this data blob, and I have some tools and scripts that I wrote to kind of analyze it and turn it into the charts that I share. So I just got that, and so that probably takes me a day, 2 days, to be honest, to kind of write a post like that. Anyway, so that's kind of things that come to mind sort of in the last week or two kind of stuff. But I don't know if that's helpful, but
I think it's
a little bit of everything.
It gives a good picture. Those scripts, of course, when we start to move more and more of things onto GitLab, you're going to have to update your scripts, of course, as well.
That's right. Yeah, it's going to be fun. And the data format changes every year a little bit because of, to your point, changes. And that's okay. So sometimes I'm more involved with setting the strategy for the project, and that kind of ebbs and flows as well. There's times like right now, we're so focused on getting Drupal 10 released. I don't want to kind of, spend too much time thinking about what's next, like there's kind of times where there's more time and room for kind of whiteboarding sessions on figuring out the big next things for Drupal. But right now, it's just, let's get Drupal 10 released. Let's get ready. Let's make sure the tools are where they need to be. So Drupal itself has a rhythm, and then the Drupal Association. I mean, obviously, we're not constantly hiring people. And so, like, once we have that new leadership in place, then we'll have to onboard them. But hopefully, once they're onboarded, then I can refocus my time and energy as well to other parts of the project. So that's what keeps it interesting, actually. The variety of what I do is actually what is part of the fun.
Okay, that might lead quite well into my next question, actually, because over the years that I've been involved in Drupal, so I've been around for about 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a number of people either step away from Drupal contribution for a while and then come back a few months or even years sometimes later.
Mm-hmm.
And there's because they've been away and done other things, they're now able to contribute even more with extra knowledge and renewed vigor, which is great. It's an overall positive, because you're bringing all that extra knowledge into the project. But you've been here for 21 years.
Yeah.
How do you get to gain that wider knowledge and renewed vigor? Are you able to step back sometimes, or what?
I think so. I mean, I try to keep a my perspectives up to date, I guess. The way I do that is I talk to quite a few end users of Drupal. Often actually through the context of Acquia, but not always. But like, Acquia customers that are big Drupal users, I will end up talking to their technical leads, their architects, their business leaders, all the kinds of people there. And that's actually very helpful to see how real users, what they experience with Drupal. And similarly, I do try to talk a lot with agency owners, the Drupal shops of the world. They give me a lot of good insights about what they see happening with their customers. So it's not just Acquia's customers, also, their customers and other stuff. I do try to spend some time exploring new technologies as well, Rachel. Like I'll take like a couple hours to go install or sign up for like Contentful or Prismic or Strappy, kind of explore these systems. And then I try to experiment with them. I mean, I even experimented a little bit with Web3 technologies, and I wrote a post about that. But I don't always write a blog post about my experiments, but sometimes I do. And so I think it's healthy, to test other software and see where other projects or products are going. And it's healthy to talk to end users of Drupal and different stakeholders. We tried to do that, as you remember, at DrupalCon, we tried to do that as well. We had those stakeholder meetings with different stakeholder groups. That's what I do. And then I read a lot, I follow a lot of the, a lot of technology leaders, as well as sort of publications, I guess, where they talk about new things. And then I have my own Drupal sites, that I kind of dabble with and upgrade, that kind of stuff. So it's good to experience what everybody else is experiencing. Or actually, my sites are pretty simple, so maybe it's not truly representative of what others experience there. But that's what I try to do. So a variety of different things. There's probably more I could do. But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a few things there about talking with people, and you even mentioned publications as well. One question I can't imagine for a moment who wrote this question, but just thinking about how we keep Drupal at the forefront of people's minds, and this is the question: don't you owe Aaron Winborn Award winner Amy June Heinlein an article for opensource.com? I think you've got to get
right.
Yes,
I do. I have a hunch Amy June wrote that question, but I do.
have a feeling maybe so.
So here's a story. At DrupalCon Portland, she asked me if I could author or an article for opensource.com, which I said I'm happy to do. We talked a little bit about what it should be and that kind of stuff, and then I just got busy, and then she reached out again, and it was just before I went on my honeymoon, actually. So I was gone for 3 weeks. So here I am. I'm making a lot of excuses here, Rachel, but yes is the answer. I owe her an article, so I'll get to that.
It's good when we see articles from yourself in different publications. It reminds people that Drupal is there doing its thing and doing it very well. So in lots of different ways. So
I'm passionate about it. Yeah, not just from me, but also it's important that Drupal appears in these, sort of the island, as we say in the Drupal project, right? Like whether it's Smashing Magazine articles or opensource.com articles, like we need to go where the developers are to evangelize Drupal. Like it's one thing to post articles on your own sites, my site or your agency site or all that stuff, but it's a lot more powerful in a way to go to where the developers are and post there. So
true.
And so we're lucky to have Amy June at Red Hat and opensource.com begging for articles. So everybody should go to Amy June and offer to write Drupal articles for opensource.com, not just me,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
maybe I need to do the same. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you ever so much for coming along and doing this. We've got through some really great questions. I hope that there's a few things for you to take away there as well, not least to write for Amy June. But we will bear in mind your thoughts on the women in Drupal when we do our deliberations. So with a few of us doing that.
Yeah.
There's Offie, me, Baddy, so it should be kind of fun.
Yeah. I'm curious who the winners will be.
Yes, I am too.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing who's nominated. And obviously we want to try and reach out to everyone who's nominated in the same way that we do with the Aaron Winborn Award, because we think that's a really important part of it. But yeah, thanks for coming along. Have a fabulous weekend.
Thank you.
Sailing.
Yeah.
Try not to fall in too much. And we will see you in DrupalCon Europe.
That's right. Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for giving me an opportunity. And thanks for yet another interview.
Thank you. See you later.
All right. Bye-bye.